Africa makes the semi-final always, doesn't it?
He was the first nigga.
Said man, away from the game. There's a
I'm a real hater like that.
Guys are gonna ride Messi, but like guys, the man can only do so much.
Yo, my brothers, my sisters, and my ballers, welcome back to another match day of What's Football with our fans with your favorite social football analyst, Tsepiso Piti, aka Tsebzoro. To the ballers passing by, I hope you like what you see because I surely like what I do, and make sure to join the returning ballers who continue to show me gang love and appreciation by liking, commenting, as well as to subscribe. Have Your Say is finally back, and this time we're bringing it back home in having a local topic and speaking about the South African football economy right now. But obviously, I'm not rolling alone. I have two footballers on each side of me for this match day. We have Bokang back on the What's Football match day. How are you feeling?
No, I'm good, man. Good to be back.
It's cool to see you with the retro shirt.
Yeah, quite cool.
Always lovely. And then a red from Marwood,
Champions.
who sits in the cop end.
Champions. You had to have a champion on your show. So
Had to have a champion.
You had to have a
And
champion.
here he is.
Uh-huh.
No love to Kane finally winning his first cup.
He's not a Bayern supporter, so I can't speak on that.
Well said. All right, my ballers. So have your say. Obviously, we just have an open conversation on the topic brought forward. As I've already said today, it's on the SA football economy. My ballers, SA football right now, in my opinion, giving a simple answer, we're in a healthy position. Now, healthy position doesn't necessarily say we're healthy, but more positive than how it's been over the past few years, and let's say even go or say the previous 2 decades. Right now, national team coach Hugo Bros has been able to help us qualify for the upcoming AFCON in December, and at the previous AFCON, we did well, finishing with bronze. Youth level, our teams are performing, securing their spots, the World Cups with under 17s, as well as the under 20s, actually winning the under 20 AFCON for the first time. And the biggest clubs in South Africa are having titles, will have titles. Pirates successful over the past few years under Ribeiro. Sundowns continue to kill it in the league, perform well in Africa. Now they have a good supporter in Pirates. And I can also include Stellenbosch locally. Kaizer Chiefs under the radar, but hey, silverware, bad league positioning, but silverware. But just in saying that, guys, where do you feel we are right now?
Should I go?
Yeah.
Yeah, as you say, we are in a healthy period of South African football, but more so in terms of a international level than a local level. Sundowns continue to dominate locally. Pirates have tried over the last, I think, 3 seasons now, coming second. Stellies have been a good surprise on the continent as well. So I think from an international perspective is why we can really look at it, where we're doing very, very well on the continent and hopefully the world as well, in the upcoming World Cups that we'll have with the different age groups.
How do we improve closing the gap to a Sundowns in the league, and not just from a team like Pirates, having more contenders challenge them and give them more losses? Because we're getting used to Sundowns reaching 70 points, 1 loss or 2 losses at a max. Some seasons we dream of them going invincible. How do we close that gap?
I'm not sure if it's actually possible to close it. I think because I think it's a depth issue. Sundowns, the squad quality, it just exceeds everyone else's by quite a margin. It's not to say you're not going to have good teams, like for instance, teams like Skukune, like they're doing relatively well, but I don't think they're going to close that gap to a Sundowns. I think the big 3 teams, I think Chiefs and Pirates probably have a better chance because I think they can find closing the gap. They can acquire good players and so forth. But other teams in the PSL, because of the monetary, you know how PSL works, I don't know if they have the muscle to actually bridge that gap with Sundowns. Because Sundowns, you know how they operate, they're going to always take the best players in the league. So it always
Decapitates.
Yeah, like the other teams.
Oh,
Yeah,
I could say.
yeah. So they're always taking the best players from the other teams. So it's always they're playing catch up to Sundowns, and then Sundowns is just taking the best players. So I don't know if it's actually possible to close it.
Yeah.
But I think the flow of the league, like the quality even of matches, is actually improving over the past couple of years. So yeah. But to answer your question, I don't know if we can actually close it.
And it's even a bigger problem because even with those two teams that you mentioned, Pirates and Chiefs, if you look at the prize money that Sundowns has acquired over the last year, especially with that other tournament that was created, I can't remember what it was.
Super Cap.
That Super CAF thingy
Yeah.
that was done, the amount of money that prize money that they acquired there. I don't know if we have such PSRs or sort of those requirements financial fair play rulings within our country. That kind of makes it also difficult because it's no longer just their president that's putting money into the team, but the team itself now is getting a lot of money as well.
Even
So
out the Club World Cup,
yeah,
they get
now-
like substantial money as well.
regardless of where they finish. So it's very complicated. As Bukangi said, it's not like teams are not doing well on their own merits
True.
within the league, but when you then face a Sundowns on match day, can that team really match up to Sundowns on match day? So far, I don't think so. As Rivero kept saying, they're a
Yeah.
points machine.
They
They're
are a points machine, and like you highlighted, the competition in the league, I would also say, has improved. Surprisingly, in some senses, seeing that the two bottom teams this season, Cape Town City has struggled.
It's
We know
worrying,
Cape Town
actually.
It's
City
worrying,
as a
actually.
top 8 side,
Super sport.
Super Sport United as well, competing Ibomakis. And then, like you said, we have Skukune United who have acquired Eric Tinkler recently, now pushing and signing experienced players. Like they're a team made up of experienced players. The Monares,
Yeah.
the Sipombules,
Linda, Tambo. Yeah.
Tambo as well, Makhaila. So obviously it is a question, but do we end up saying we just have multiple competitions within the league? So a competition for the top 3 places, the African places, competition there will always be a competition to survive relegation, and then the other just to fill up the top 8 to make the MTN 8 competition.
Yeah, but if you look across the globe, having a team that dominates the league is almost the norm across a lot of different European leagues. If you go into Italy, for a while it was Juventus, and then Inter now have had their period. Luckily, Napoli have been able to, take their throne. In La Liga, you've got the 3 teams. Atletico just trying every 4 or 5 years. They win the league as well in the Simeone era. In the Premier League, we've had Guardiola now do it for the past 6 years, 7 years, even
Yeah.
though
The whole time it's been him.
it's been him. Even though there's been that one odd Chelsea here, Liverpool there, it's been City throughout the period. You go to France, even worse. Germany, same thing. They had won 12, I think, in a row until Bayer Leverkusen came through. So having a team that kind of dominates the league is not something that is unique to us.
Abnormal,
Yeah, abnormal
yeah.
to us. Al Ahly, I'm sure, are doing it within Egypt.
Yeah.
It's only Pyramids now coming with Zamalek that are trying as well. So having Sundowns dominating the league is not a big issue in terms of the competitiveness of the league
And
itself.
it's a good thing
Yeah, it's a good.
if you look at Bafana now, the squad is mainly Sundowns players, and because of them playing at such a high level, continentally as well, we're seeing the benefits now trickle onto our national team. So it's not necessarily a bad thing for Sundowns to be so dominant, I think.
True, which is what you said, all initiating with saying that they poach from local teams.
Yeah.
Just this season, Reyners and Jaden Adams, Stellenbosch competed so well across the last 2 seasons, including this season, to be honest, even though they don't have silverware to their name, but they've competed extremely well. But yeah, man, the league, I like where it is right now, and I think it's shown as to being in a good position from seeing fans coming to the stadiums. Sundowns, they've been filling Lucas Masterpiece Muripe Stadium for a while, as well as the Loftus Versfeld Stadium. Riviero said when he started at Pirates, there'd be less than 5,000. On average, you get a good 20,000 there. Cape Town City for a while had that. Stellenbosch has been trying to build that in being, I guess, the new students club in replacing Wits.
Like a Wits, yeah.
And then Marumo Gallants moving to Bloemfontein has been extremely beneficial this season. I guess as well, Skukune playing at the old Peter Mokaba Stadium has been beneficial. But what's the main factor that's brought us back to the stadium, if we can put it that way?
I'd say the quality of football. I enjoy watching Pirates, especially that kid like Mufukeng. I go to the stadium to watch him, because I know he's gonna leave. He has to leave. So I think the quality of football is what I've been impressed with the most. I think that is what has been taking me to the stadiums. Obviously, the winning helps as well.
True.
Because say I support Pirates, so I enjoy watching or going to the stadium knowing my team is gonna win, but also they're gonna play good football. So I think that is what has been taking me to the stadium. So I'd say the quality of football I feel has improved.
Yeah, Just to reiterate what Bokang is saying, if you look at even the stadiums that you've just mentioned here, those are like football hubs in their own provinces. Peter Mokaba in Limpopo, Bloemfontein has really been a hub of
Free State
football, Free
Stadium.
State Stadium. They don't have Bloemfontein Celtic anymore. So, I mean, if you're going to bring back football to that type of place, I'm sure people have been craving for football for a very
It was
long
even
time.
well seen with the qualifier between South Africa and Zimbabwe
Yeah.
when we took it there.
Exactly.
I think Mofokeng might have been his
his debut.
debut that
Debut day.
night.
Exactly.
it
And
was-
and a lot of people have called that when it's a critical game, maybe we should take it down to Bloemfontein because of you are certain that you're going to
Yeah.
pack up that stadium with a lot of supporters that will be supporting our side, as we are quite of a multinational country. But at the same time, when it comes to Bloemfontein, it just seems that we really do find a way to really be packed there, but also with South Africans more than the other races, the other countries there. So as Bokang is saying, it's all, I think, knowing that you're going to go and see a good spectacle really plays a big part. I think post the COVID era, football kind of slowed down. There was just so many things that were going around with football then, and I think it just kind of picked up now. The competitiveness, as we've been saying, that Sundowns winning the league is its own thing, but the other teams being able to still compete and play good football is a good thing. I mean, to have the top 5, I think, is made up of Skukune and TS Galaxy at the current moment, if I'm not mistaken. That's something new. You're so used to just seeing Sundowns, Pirates, Chiefs, but now you've got Steadies, Skukune, TS Galaxy. That tells you that now, in terms of South African football, we're in a good
Like the
place.
flow of
The
the
flow of the
Yeah.
league is just very good. So wherever you are right now, you can go into the stadium expecting your team to win, as Bukang is alluding to. So I think that's
Obviously,
played a big role.
we've spoken about the league teams, and then we know the managerial changes, which are so common in South Africa. But in all honesty, they're common all around the world. It's just that where you have greater focus, you'll see it more. We have to speak on the elephant in the room with this season, Royal AM. How does the South African football body, or SAFA, or PSL, both of them coming together, how do they prevent situations like that? Because acquisitions in South African football is normal. Amazulu, Cape Town City, there's a whole list to name, Even changing names, with seeing Maritzburg United now as Durban City. But the Royal AM situation, how do we prevent situations like that from happening in the future, knowing that acquisitions in South African football are so common?
It's a tough one, to be honest, because, I think to own a club, you need to expect that you're going to be running at a loss. So you need to be okay with knowing that the profits probably won't be there, as an owner. So you need to have deep pockets as an owner. I think with Royal AM is that they were just so dependent on, one person funding the club.
Sure.
And we know that this other person had the other external things to deal with as well. So I don't know how the PSL is going to, help with in that aspect. So it's quite hard to see how the PSL can, try and mitigate those things happening often, because you really just need deep pockets. We need better sponsorship, I think, for the clubs. I think maybe what the PSL can do, if we can get more sponsors for the clubs as well. I remember there was an instance where I think Celtics, they couldn't get a certain sponsor because it would clash with the league, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So I think we shouldn't limit the sponsors that teams can get, because I think it's really monetary in that how the teams run themselves. If they can get the funding, I think can avoid situations like Royal AM, because it was a thing where they couldn't afford maybe the team to travel to pay players' salaries and those kind of things. So I think what teams and the PSL can do is just to try to get more sponsors to help with funding and running the club, instead of relying on individual owners to take the loss.
Sponsorship's been quite important, shown at national level as well. How do we boost that for the league?
For the league, it's a very complicated one, because as we've been speaking, football has just been starting to pick up right now. For sponsors, it's all about what will they get out of it as well.
True.
And with the amount of people that weren't going to stadiums, certain games not being televised, what's in it for a sponsor in terms of being able to sponsor these teams? So I think abroad, we can take something from abroad. I think it's always about the TV deals that are given to teams. That plays a very big part for teams that are overseas in terms of them being able to run who they are. We've seen it with these Arab-owned teams. A lot of the sponsors that sponsor the teams that they own as well are sister companies all over the country. So it's not something to say that
Government
there's
institutions.
government institutions. So it's not to say that it's like a straightforward thing whereby you just find a sponsor and it ends there. Even the biggest of teams right now are finding ways within their own type of income to try and continue to sponsor. It's almost like like a loop of money that's just kind of like circulating within one space. So with our football, I think the difficult thing is it's only now that we're starting to pick up and really start to attract even fans. So to now attract sponsors will be the next step. When we can now start to get fans, shirt sales as well. I think right now I think 2 months ago, I tried to look for a Pirate shirt. Could not find one in any store. That's a good sign.
thing.
That's a good thing. So we need to have that across all teams, and then you can start to have sponsors who want to be put onto your shirt because they know for sure that we are purchasing these items as well. You know that there's something that they can gain out of it. But if you can even see with our league, the way the league is sponsored, you can see how difficult it is. Forget the teams, even the league itself right now.
MultiChoice is funding the whole football pyramid in South
Pyramid right
Africa.
now. You know,
Then, like I mean, from
the first division and going down.
School football as well.
School football as well. It's that. So as Bogang is saying, so it's very difficult to just think that we're just going to find sponsors for teams when the league itself is also kind of finding it difficult to find a sponsor that's going to be consistent. We had ABSA for a very, very long time, and now we've got MultiChoice. So
It's Bedway now.
is it Bedway now? Oh, okay. Now we've got Bedway. You see, the changes just show you that it's not really a simple thing to find a sponsor that wants to also stay in something that is not going to give back to
And
them.
really also just improving the product that you're selling. Like
Yeah.
the quality of football.
The product
it's
is
getting
important,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, but like
Success, like you've said many times. MultiChoice, youth, Mutsepe funding down all the way to up. At national level, we've seen, or international level, we've seen relative success recently from the youth. MultiChoice Disk Challenge has a lot of players playing in the under 20 setup, and it's now been there for 10 years now. How helpful has that league been to help SA youth at international level?
I think the level of competition in the DDC has helped a lot because I think prior to it, I didn't know how these boys would prepare to be playing other youth national teams like in Africa and whatnot. So I think because now they're exposed to like, I'd say serious competition amongst the age group anyway, that has helped them now, and they take the next step to play with other like top international players. They know like the base is solid in that they've been competing week in, week out with like the best in terms of what the country has to offer at that age group.
Yeah.
So I think that has really helped a lot.
Has it always had an age cap?
And
the
I think
DDC?
it was recent. Where it's now
Recently,
like an under 23.
Yeah,
when
so-
we allowed like 3 over
Overs and overs. Yeah, because I was going to speak on it in terms of what it's done for our youth football now. I think that change was really critical because back when it just started around 2014, I think, at the time I was with Black Aces, and at the time it was utilized more for the players that can't get into the first team
correct.
to just get their game time. Yes, there were those youth players that if they showed exceptional talent would be part of that squad or that lineup, but at the time when it was introduced, it was more used as a reserve league for those that don't play at the top there. And I think that maybe that's where it affected us in terms of being able to see the fruits of this second tier in terms of football. But now in recent times, because of the cap, you kind of like put together people of the same age that can compete well against each other in order to really show that I'm a level above this guy who's my age. Whereas back then, I would find myself at the age of 17, 18 playing against a guy who's 26, 28. And in as much he's not good enough to maybe start for his club, he's definitely good enough to play against me at the age of 18, which kind of like takes away my talent because I'm not able to compete with him from a physical perspective. Maybe from football wise I am good enough, but because of the physical aspect of it, and the physical aspect of it plays a really big role in terms of the next jump. If you're going to be put into a sector whereby you need to compete with people that are ages ahead of you in terms of the physical part, sometimes you really need to be that player, like you need to be that guy to really make it. And Relay is a good example of that, where you can see in his stature that he's not going to compete with these guys. If you look at the CAF game now against Pyramids for Pirates, any duel that he got into physically was a bit of a difficult one. But anything that he needed to use his brain in terms of like gaining the space, he was really good at that. And so we don't have a lot of relays, but because now they're playing against I think the same level, it allows for them to develop the confidence to be able to showcase what they have, and then coaches at a higher level are able to now give them a bigger opportunity to say, okay, we can see it's the physical part, but we can see the talent. And when that happens, then it's easier to now go into your under 20s and under 17s and actually play well. Vidboy is also a good example. He's doing well for our under 17s, but he's also a starter or he gets minutes under Cape Town City. Exactly. So it comes from that type of
and it creates
exposure.
a clear pathway for players now, where before, without that DDC, it's like from the academy, it's like you're in limbo. You're not sure what's the next step. You need to go to an NFD team, then PSL. Now it's I think also you don't play with a lot of pressure at like DDC level. So like these boys can actually learn like tactics that will probably be applicable at PSL level, right? Because you don't have the pressure to win because there's no relegation. You're literally just being developed. That's literally its main aim, the DDC. It's not necessarily about winning it, but these boys now get a chance to be developed outside of pressure, but still at a relatively like competitive level. So I think it just created a much better pathway for these guys to now go and play in the PSL. That's why we're seeing like a lot of youngsters now in the PSL.
True.
So yeah.
Across many teams, Pirates have their Coco Melons, as they like to be named. Chiefs have been doing it for a while. Sundowns adding Stellies have also been doing it for a while. The African influence, as you stated, Rele, Pyramids. Obviously, Sundowns being the top team in SA for the last 10 years have competed well in the continent, always making quarterfinals. Since they'd won the Champions League in 2016, they hadn't been able to get to the semi-finals until last year. Knocked out in the semi-finals, this season in the finals. Fingers crossed for some supporters that they win. By the way, this has been recorded on the 25th of May, so the match day most likely will come out after the final. But in saying that, for us to compete, Pirates, it's their second consistent season. They reached the semi-finals. Stellenbosch as well, semi-finals in the CAF Confederations Cup. 2020, or was it 2021, there was an outlier in Chiefs making the final. Tactically, we've always backed ourselves. But then obviously with winning games in Africa, at times you need more than just tactics, strategical input, psychological input as well. I've always felt Pitso Mosimane has been a big instigator in that, and it's maybe trickled down now over across to Rulani, foreign coach as well, having Rivero at Chelsea with Chelsea, I love Chelsea, with Pirates with his influence, and then Barker at Stellenbosch. How have we also been able to close that gap at a club level in the continent?
Well, yeah, to say that Pitso kind of like instigated it is fair due to how Sundowns have been doing within the competition over the years. But if you look back just before Sundowns even won the competition in 2016, Pirates were doing very well, did well.
Correct.
I think, God rest his soul, the departure of Senzo Miyiwa played a big role in Pirates now taking a step back from being able to be competitive on the continental stage. But before then, the lost two finals in 3 years was something good. And I feel when you look at a team such as Pirates, they've always been able to kind of like stamp their authority within that competition. As you've said, it's due to many different aspects of it, but maybe with Pirates it's just within the DNA of playing for the club. And now we're seeing it with Steadies as well. So yes, of course, Pitso in his own way over the last few years when Sundowns won it and then continued to compete at a high level, and then now Rulani competed as well, and then this year we've got Sundowns now in the final. As you've said, fingers crossed, those that support Sundowns to win it. I still don't think it's so much about Pitso more than the fact that about opportunity, meeting opportunity at the right time. I think Steadies right now, if you look within the country itself, they are a very top team. And they compete very well against your Sundowns and against your Pirates, against your Chiefs. So it only makes sense that when they play against teams that Sundowns normally also beat, that they would also be able to compete, especially in a lower division, if that's what you want to call it, because they're not in the CAF, they're in the Confederations Cup, correct?
Yes.
So if they compete with the Sundowns, who almost always goes all the way in a CAF level, then you can only expect them to also almost go all the way in a Confederations, because if Sundowns is here in the PSL and they're here, then taking the same sort of kind of like outlook into the continent, it should almost happen the same way. Pirates pushes Sundowns the whole way, then you think that they can also push the teams that push Sundowns within the continent. So yes, Pitso, we can say instigated in the sense of making it important to win that. I think South African teams didn't put a lot of emphasis on winning
Yeah.
African.
It wasn't a thing.
Yeah, it
Like,
wasn't a
after
thing.
Sundowns got a start,
Got a
it's
star.
like we want to be the first to get a second star.
Yes.
Now it's a thing.
Now it's a
Before
thing.
it wasn't. No one really cared. Like
Yeah.
even
Like-
as a Pirates fan, I knew I just like it's like
You
from
feature.
old even. I just know like we have a star on our crest. And it wasn't really a thing because it's just Pirates who really have it here.
Exactly.
Now Sundowns has it. Now it creates competition. Now
Yeah.
it's like there's elevated importance to getting this thing.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. National team level, obviously, with seeing that continentally for the clubs, national team level, we're sitting in a great position to qualify for our first World Cup since 2002. Our last 4 remaining games are basically all at home. I'm not sure
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the Lesotho game,
It's
if it's
also-
also in South Africa,
Yeah.
even though it's an away game. Zimbabwe's game, playing in South Africa. Nigeria we face in South Africa, well, home game as well as Rwanda. Obviously, there's a light looming over the yellow card suspension with Lebogo Mokoena.
Yeah.
Provided those points are deducted, we're still 2 points ahead of next place. What's our mentality going into the next games, and more specifically against a continental rival in Nigeria at home?
I wouldn't worry too much about like Nigeria's gonna help us qualify anyway because they still need to beat these other
You know, they
teams.
like it when you hear South Africans being this cocky because they
It's
know
fine
to
if
be
they are.
arrogant.
Like,
Yeah.
we're still gonna qualify either way. That's how.
This is the arrogance we've needed with South Africa, which has been built over the years.
Yeah, well,
Otherwise,
well, it's only arrogance if you can't back it up,
Sure.
type of thing, right? And if you look over the last year, 2 years, we've done really, really well. We've really put ourselves amongst the
Literally
big
might be a top
yeah.
3 nation.
nation right now in
yeah.
Africa right now. The standings are what they are because of where we come from. So of course, as we move up the standings in the world as well as Africa, we might not be up there, but that's because of how far we were initially. But just the outlook of it, when you were just watching the product, you can see what type of country we are at this present moment. So it's confidence in knowing that we've been doing it, not in hoping for it to be done, but knowing that we've been doing it. So yes, whoever the other nations are, have this thing of, okay, we want them more now that they're arrogant. We're not arrogant. Are we supposed to have this outlook of, we fear you, even though we're top of the group
maybe
at this
that's
present
what has
moment?
kept us back
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah, and you can see it within the players. Yes, the fans speak the loudest, but you can see it even with the players when they play. You can see that this is a squad that really believes in what they're doing and
There's
believes
presence,
that
yeah.
and that they believe that they are the best on that and that football pitch. At this present moment, I think when South Africa is not winning games, it's more of a disappointment or more of a shocker than when they are winning games at this present on the African continent. As to how it will be when we get to the World Cup, that's a different conversation. But as Bokang has said, the other teams also need to beat each other. It's not just about us beating all 4 of them, but they also need to get the points amongst themselves. And so in a way, we've created a good stepping stone for ourselves by ensuring that now when they beat each other, they stay below us, because each one is just going to climb the other one and so forth. And we're also going to win our games. I believe that for sure.
We're hovering around the top 50 in the world rankings right now. We've been in a position after winning the 1996 AFCON as well as qualifying for the 1998 World Cup. We're in the top 30 or top 25. I think the highest ranking might have reached was 17th. Fallen back. We've become accustomed to us in the 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
and now we're roaming in the 50s. We have this good position right now. As we stated, it feels as though it's healthy. With the hope, even though I'm saying we will qualify for the World Cup, then play in the World Cup. Obviously, we can't ignore the AFCON in Morocco in December. How do we stay where we are currently after the competitions which we'll compete in?
Well, early in the program, we spoke about how the junior teams are also doing well. So I think it's about keeping that consistency to say that what the product that's coming up to the top has been able to compete on the African continent against those that they would compete against when they do get to the top. That's the first thing. And then second of all, it's also ensuring that the product of the PSL, where for a long period of time now, it was Sundowns that dominated the squad, for sure. But if the PSL is competitive on its own, then we are able to pick from different teams and still pick a competitive team. Right now, we had to pick Sundowns because of the gap that was there between Sundowns as well as
And the rest.
as the rest. But studies have come into it. Pirates are now there. Chiefs will be in it next
Yeah.
season, so we don't know how they'll compete on the continent as well. So it's more about keeping the consistency. So if our under-17s and our under-20s against the same caliber of player that they'll compete against at a later stage are doing well at this current moment, then it's about ensuring that that level of performance is kept throughout their careers until they reach a level of playing within the first team of the national team. And then I think most things take care of themselves after that. It's hard to predict today what would be then, but looking at today's picture, I would like to think that we are still going to be there in the future.
Because we already have the blueprints.
Yes.
Just like keep at it, just be consistent with what we've been doing, even at the junior national team levels. Because they even start from under 15s. Like they've placed more importance on school tournaments and things like that in like selecting our under 17 team. So we just need to keep doing more of that. Then I think going forward we should be okay.
At youth level, club level, well, club youth level, we know of the youth tournaments, the engines, the Bay Hills have been merged well with school football, as you've said. My ballers, that's where we wrap up. Have your say on SA's football economy. I'm very hopeful for the future. I like where we're sitting right now, beyond even the studio. South Africa is good right now. Bafana are up, Amachimbos are up, Amachita are up. We'll continue to support them at this year's World Cups, and as well as Bafana at next year's World Cup. Continue to like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, my ballers, live long.